Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Um, Another week, two more people gone. Based off of last week's ranking, it was the two people with the lowest ranking, so I personally am not that shocked at all in the slightest whatsoever, 0%. We'll see if our predictions ring true again. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, you didn't have to delete the photo, but oh, there it is.
Doing that to, I had to get the box behind it, Scott.
Let's move it out of the way.
I wanted to.
Anyway, bingo. Okay. Yeah, this season we have three jurors now, so we're at the final eight. We're at the top half of the group, and this is actually, Steven, let me know if you agree. This season, to me, is feeling very, in my opinion, like low-key BB20 in the sense that the pre-jury, super exciting. We had some big shots taken at people, some major vote flips, very exciting. Some exciting things to open the jury, but now I think the House has solidified, and I think not that it's going to be a boring end, but I think I could reasonably tell you the boot order from here on out and give you a very short list of people that will be in the finale and possibly winning the game. Like I know it's feeling like we're gonna be
All right, so give your list. Give
solidified
your
here.
give your boot order.
My predicted boot order? Okay. I think we're going to see. I mean, obviously, we know Max and Danny have gone this week. I think we are going to see Michael get eighth place. I think we are going to see Michael get eighth. I think we're going to see Ava get seventh. I think we are going to see Andy get sixth. I think we're going to see Kaylin get fifth. I think we're going to see Sarah get fourth. And then Julia or Liz third. Tyler's in the final two with Julia or Liz, and anyone could win of those three.
Yeah, I
That's
think they're
my
gonna,
prediction
I
right
think they're
now.
gonna take a shot at Julia before then. I don't think they're gonna be final three.
Um, see Sarah in. I could see them cutting Julia at 4 or 5, but like I reasonably think the final five is going to be Julia, Liz, Sarah, Tyler, and probably Caitlin, maybe Andy, but we'll see.
I would say
We'll
switch
see.
up.
Hopefully things
Yeah, we'll see. Okay.
switch out what?
I would say Julia goes sixth or seventh, and Ava's in the final five.
Interesting. I r- really disagree, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it as we move through the week. So
Okay.
this was a split house week. Um, so I hope it doesn't get too confusing as we talk about each side. We're not going to really break it down because each HOH's plan was so straightforward. Max was Liz's target, Janny was Kaylin's target. Both went home. No questions asked. It really was nothing exciting. So let's just dive in and talk about each person, I think.
Cool.
Exciting. Starting off this week, we had Andy. Andy was on split two under Kaylin's HOH. Um, I think that Andy's positioning in the game is unfortunately continuing to fall. And
Mm,
unfortunately for Andy, I don't think she has the grasp that it's falling like she did with the other alliance. In the other alliance, when she was with Ryan and Brogan and Danny and Sarah, I think she realized she was on the bottom. She realized that only Ryan's decisions were happening, that Brogan was having a lot of say, and she didn't have a voice. However, I think she thinks that because she made the move to flip on them, as well as the fact that Julia, Tyler, and Liz have done a good job keeping up talking in their four-person chat about their decisions and like winning comps and things. I think she feels like she's in a good position and has a very solid chance of winning the game. In fact, I think her one of her recent diaries from this week was like, I think if I make it to the end, I win. And I unfortunately feel like that self-awareness of her spot in the game is going to bite her in the butt. And it's coming sooner rather than later. Um, she was on the block this week. Granted, it was very easy to go on the block on this week, so I don't fault her too badly. Um, but Tyler's talking about taking like letting Andy go soon. Liz is talking about it. Julia's talking about it. They've now brought in Sarah's closer. Um, I just think that Andy's spot is getting more and more precarious. So with that being said, I am going to lower my score. I was at a 6 last week. Andy's definitely not in the red zone yet, so I'm not going all the way down there, but I will be dropping my score to a 5 for Andy, unfortunately.
Yeah, me too. I think you can see how much Andy's likelihood to win the game is decreasing, which is really unfortunate because we saw her come up from low scores in the beginning of the game to someone who could really be a potential player and potential winner. But I just don't know if I see Danny being someone who wins this game.
Andy.
Yeah, Andy, sorry. Andy's someone who wins this game like at the end of the season. I just don't think it's something that is feasible to happen anymore. So 5 for me.
What's interesting is I agree with that in terms of Andy's chances of getting to the end. Right now, I do not see a path where Andy reasonably is able to make it to the final two chairs. What's interesting though about this jury, I don't get the sense that this is going to be a bitter jury. That's not the sense that I get at all. However, with that being said, I do get the sense that this is going to be a jury that votes for their friends and allies to the point where, like, I think if Andy got to the end, she does have a good case. Do I think it's as good of a case as someone like Julia or Tyler or Liz? No, I don't. But it's not a bad case. And I think of the jurors so far, I think all three of them would vote for Andy over those people because they worked with and like Andy. Um, all that to say though, I don't see her making the final two chairs, unfortunately. I think both from a competitions perspective and a social hierarchies perspective, I think she's slipping away.
Yeah. All right. Ava.
Ava. Ava's had fives from us for a while. This week she was also on Split 2. She was nominated by Cayman as a pawn, but ended up winning a very masterful veto that was not at all determined practically by luck. Um, so period Ava. Took herself off the block. Um, Here's the good news and bad news for Ava, and honestly, why I disagree with you about them taking the shot at Julia. I think Liz and Tyler are ride or dies. I think they are the final two, and they will likely be taking one another to that point. Um, but first talking about Tyler, Tyler's number three is Julia, and I don't know if that changes. And as of right now, it's clearly that way for Liz. I think Liz is the main one that would consider taking a shot. Um, but I think that they Ava's almost not like out of the equation, but like Sarah's the one that's in the equation right now for someone that could fill that spot. And I think that looking forward, if Michael is the most likely boot this week, which is or this upcoming week, um, which is respectfully a Julia piece on the board, I don't think Julia is gonna let her other piece in Kaylin go immediately thereafter. And Liz and Tyler have both expressed being fine to let Ava go. So there's still time because I agree that Ava could wiggle her way in, but I'm not confident in it, unfortunately. Um, I'm gonna stay at my five for Ava because there is still that shot. I do agree with you, but I won't lie. I am predicting that this is the last week that I'm at this five. And although it could be next week because Tyler and Liz decide to make serious moves against Julia, I think the more likely scenario is next week, Ava's head is the next one up on the chopping block, and she's going to be down at a 4 or 3 for me, is what I'm thinking.
Um, I honestly think it's going to be Kaylin on as the next person to be targeted next week, and I think Kaylin could go over Ava. I think that with a whole week here, Ava is still in with people, whereas I Tyler and Liz are not. I don't think Tyler and Liz are planning to take Julia as far as we think.
I think Tyler is. I really think Tyler is.
Then, I mean, I haven't read Tyler's diary
Because
room in a while. Let me
I've
see.
just been on FaceTime with him a lot, and I don't get the vibe that he's cutting her.
I was on FaceTime with Tyler and Liz, and maybe he was lying to Liz, but he was like, "Yeah, I've like Julia's the only person I played games with before. Like she's sneaky. Like I we can't go to the end with her."
Oh, interesting.
And
Then maybe.
I would assume that Tyler would want. I would think that Tyler would rather go to the end with Liz,
Oh, I do agree. To be very clear, I agree with that.
but I would think that the end is not like that's not the. I don't think that means that he would also take Julia to Final Three or Final Four. I think that means they turn on her soonish. I honestly think it would make it would. I think it would be more likely that they kind of swap Sarah in for Julia.
I agree with that, and I think that is a serious chance. I think where I disagree is if Tyler takes a shot, I see it being at the final 5 or 4 and not before it. I think he
I
wants
I
people
feel like
out. I
that's
think
too
he wants
late.
Andy out. I think he wants too many other people out before he wants Julia out. Anyway, we're talking
With
about
that being
Ava.
said, with that being said, I don't think it's as set in stone as I do think Michael has the best chance of going home this week, but after that, I don't think anything else is really set in stone, especially with them wavering on their own side and bringing Sarah in, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm gonna go up to a 6 for Ava. She won a competition this week, whether it be by luck or by masterminding everyone. Who knows? But um, there are other people going into the next week, aka this week, um, before her. So
Interesting. All right. I'm not mad at it. I think this is the first time we've really disagreed on scores because I was almost considering giving Ava a 4 this week.
no, I think I like what Ava's doing.
I also like what Ava's doing. I don't think Ava's doing enough. I think she needs to do more of it. But wait, actually, this is one thing that I do really want to talk about because this I think was crucial for Ava's game. And I'm glad I remembered it. She sent in a diary room this week, and I was like, clock that motherfucking T. Liz, since being since they were both blindsided by Zach's eviction in week 2, Liz and Ava have been like this, right? And that's never strayed for especially Ava. But this week, Liz won HOH, had the choice of which side to reign over. And
Mm.
Ava was like, oh, easy. We're number one. She's going to pick my side and protect me. And then she didn't. And I think Ava clocked that and was like, okay, heard. I don't not trust Liz, but I no longer get the vibe that like I'm her number one priority. So I'm gonna need to start reaching out, talking to people. And this week, Ava, I think now has a much better relationship with Caitlin, some relationship with Sarah. So I do agree on that front. I do really like what she's doing. I just think in order for Ava's spot to open up, that move on Julia needs to happen as soon as humanly possible. And that's what I don't see happening. Because Julia was also very open of like, if I went HOH, like Ava's the only person in the house that I'm not aligned with directly that I would target. So,
Julia's also expressed that she wasn't trying to win that competition.
correct.
So, yes. Okay, let's move on. Cool. Danny.
Danny was also in split number two. Um, and was nominated and then did not win the veto and then went home. Um, Unfortunately, Danny never had a shot of staying, in my opinion. There was a where they were campaigning to Ava and like making points, and Ava was like, okay, actually hearing it out. And that lasted for the other thing about Danny is like they tried campaigning and then like her- didn't get a great response and was like, okay, well, it's been fun. I was like, okay, word. And also got to the jury, and I think along with Max is sincerely like, ugh, literally like the two people that had the best chance of winning just got evicted because of this twist. I'm like, no, not the case. Not the case. No, not the case. Um, for mainly the reason that there was no shot that Danny stayed this week and they didn't put up a great campaign. I'm gonna go to a one. I give it to if like you put in a good fight and there's a chance out or circumstantial, but like unfortunately, like this has just been Danny's way, and it's because of how they set themselves up in the game. So it's gonna be one for me. But it's a one with love, and it's been like having Danny, and now we don't have Danny anymore.
Yeah, I have to go to a one as well. There was nothing based on. I feel like I'm bullying them when I've been like, you're delusional, but that's just true. It was just true. From the
Mhm.
delusions
I know, I love people, but the delusion is real.
from the from the errors of previous weeks, there has just been no way, especially in a five-person house, that Danny was not going to be the one who victory unless they won the apparently luck veto, which did not happen. Close, but did
Right.
not.
Close.
But yeah, sad one for Danny. Yeah. All right, Julia.
Julia, first person on split number one that we will be talking about. Um, this is interesting. So this week, split one lost Max, and Max was one of the Julia pieces. However, with that being said, actually no, I think the Sarah boot would have been much more beneficial for Julia's game, but there was zero making that happen. So I think like she played the week well. Um, I'm gonna be staying on my eight for Julia. Um, and kind of foreshadowing because like just to get this out of the way now. Um, and we'll talk about each individual case as we get there. I think with these two boots happening, I think Julia, Liz, and Tyler are currently on equal playing field. And I think this next week upcoming will determine who takes the driver's seat because of the three of them. Julia has Michael and Kaylin, Liz has Ava, Tyler has Sarah and Andy. Like those are the pieces. And I think the boot order, like who goes home this next week and the week following, will, I think, almost like explicitly determine who takes the driver's seat. And as of leaving this eviction, it was unclear as to which of those things would happen. because this week we left it Michael and Kaylin reunited the Twisters with Julia. Um, I think Tyler and Liz, again, I haven't been on an individual call with them, so like maybe I did miss something that happened, but like from what I've seen, don't want to cut Julia like next week. You know what I mean? Like she's and she got numbers. So I'm my 8. I had to agree that I think this will be the last week that I'm at this level, and I do think it's going to start to slip because I think Tyler and Liz are going to start to advance their position over Julia's. But for this week alone, oh,
Oh, hello.
something happened.
Are we still recording? Yeah.
Yeah, it said recording in progress again, but I don't know what happened.
I think I lost connection, which is weird. Let me change my hotspot.
It's recording me still. Okay, back.
Okay, it should be better.
Okay, fingers crossed. Continue. Um, no, I am still going to be in my 8 for Julia because I think even the pieces that Liz and Tyler have are still for Julia. I think Andy is still for Julia. I think Sarah is still for Julia. I'm gonna say that, yeah, I'm not talking myself down. 8 for Julia.
I'm gonna go down to a 7. Um, I feel like I see, and 7 is still a great score by the way. But I'm starting to see um, the works where the plans are being made to not have Julia be in the end, and I am seeing more of Liz and Tyler talking than any other combination of the three. I feel like Liz and Tyler are talking all the time as a duo. I think they are going to be two of the final three, if not the final four, or if the final four, if not the final three. Um, and I think if they're smart, they're going to cut Julia at 5 or 6. I would think. I think
I think
Sarah.
it happens at 5. That's my gut.
I think Sarah is a much better number for them than Julia is. She's. I mean, this is no shade to Sarah. She's proven to be weaker in the competitions. Although Julia and Sarah apparently are studying on FaceTime tonight. They're or yeah, Julia, their days. So interesting, but where Julia was in an 8 spot last week for me, I just don't. I think that stuff's about to go down again. Not this week, but the position's not as great as it was before. I think so. 7.5.
That's not unfair. Yeah, I do agree that Tyler and Liz are starting to make their move.
Cool. Kaylin.
Kaylin. Alrighty, last week I was at a 4 and you were at a 5. This week, Kaylin was the HOH of split number 2. She put up Ava and Danny, targeting Danny. Ava won the veto, Andy went up, and Danny went home. Truthfully, I don't think Kaylin could have done any wrong this week, no matter who she sent home. I'm gonna be so honest.
She didn't even have that much power, to be honest. She just
I was gonna say both
honestly the
because
competition was
of
just being safe.
the fact that she didn't have that many close allies, but also the fact that like it was kind of crazy this week, how in my opinion, at least, like split 1 was like the power players, and split 2 was like the rest of the people. Um, and yeah, Kaylin just had very easy no blood. I think keeping Michael off the block was ultimately the right decision, and it was smart. Um, although with peace and love, I don't know what many of these people are going to be doing for Kaylin. I think she had good conversation with Ava this week. Um, and I think her like brain is in the game. Um, but again, I just think that some of these bigger players are going to be such an immovable force when it comes to Kaylin trying to move them or do anything. I think everyone, this sounds so bad saying it, I hate saying it, but like everyone kind of sees her as a joke, where it's like, they're like, okay, who was on Kaylin's phone and won the competition for her? Like that's literally what everyone is saying. And like Kaylin won the comp on her own, proven. Um, but I just don't think people she's not gonna be able to do anything. Kaylin's game needs to be survive, somehow sneak to the final two, and then give a kick-ass speech. And even then her chances are slim. Um, because I don't think people explicitly have any reason to take her out, and I think this week wasn't bad for her. I'm going to be staying at my previous score, but it is unfortunately still a red score because girl is just not really in a great of a spot. So I will be giving Caitlyn a 4 again.
Yeah, I was at a 5. I'm gonna go down to a 4 this week. It's not looking good for Kaylin moving forward. Just like really, her HOH was just being safe and bringing her along to the final 8, which is great. But I think we've seen all we're gonna see from Kaylin, which wasn't a lot to begin with. But I don't think we're gonna see any more, and she's gonna be just a kind of a person that just leaves. I think with all the big players left. So 4 from me. That would be a 4 for Kaylin. Cool. Liz.
Liz. Okay. Liz was the HOH split one, nominated Max and Sarah. Nom stayed the same. Max went home. Liz was the only person not picked in the draft. For a while now on the rankings, I feel like we've been saying Julie is the front runner, but the front runner usually doesn't win, and I think Tyler's going to be the one to sweep up the pieces and take the cake at the end of the day. I now think that person is Liz. I think Liz,
I think it could be either of them.
I think it could be either of them, but, and it's a big but, I think Liz, although maybe not obviously, is doing a few key things significantly better than Tyler. I think Liz's connection with Ava is huge. I think Liz and Andy have a really close connection. I think Liz and Sarah have a close connection. Sarah's probably equal amongst a lot of people, but like that's good. Whereas I feel like Tyler's social standing with a few people is a little shaky, even though he is in a good spot. So that's number one. Two, I think Liz's jury management has been out of this fucking world. And if she continues up with it, I think kind of similar to how I said earlier, I think people are going to want to vote for their friends in the end. Um, right now, I think Brogan considers Liz a friend, even though Liz was a large portion of why Brogan went home. I think Max considers Liz a friend after Liz was like, no, Max, I'm going to keep you if the vote ties. Not the case. I think Danny considers Liz a friend. I don't really know why, but Danny probably has that read. Um, I think Liz will continue to just be good at jury management. And I don't know, my gut tells me it could do wonders for Liz. In addition, she has two HOHs under her belt. I think it's not gonna be unheard of for her to get at least one more
Mm-hmm.
compared to how some of these people have been doing in competitions. Um, she is the person more so than Tyler that I've seen being like, I see that Julia's got Michael and Kaylin and is doing that for her. And I see this. Like she's the one even more so than Tyler for me that I think wants to make the move on Julia. Um, and I just think she's doing all the right things. Um, snaps for Liz, snaps for Liz, snaps for Liz. Yes. Oh, this is so good. Um, I was at a 7. I'm going to raise my score to an 8. Um, and Liz is the first person in this game that I could see getting 9s moving forward. Like
Hmm.
some people that have gotten 8s have been like, okay, this is the threshold for now, and maybe you'll drop down low. Like Liz, if all things go well next week, as early as next week, maybe a week after that, I think could be the first player to hit a 9 for me. And we'll see. Well, yes.
I'm also gonna go to an eight as well. I think Liz is the is one of two front runners right now, and I think either of them could win. But I think Liz, especially winning HOH again, very likely that she could win again moving forward. And she's got a good head on her shoulders. So I'm going with an eight for Liz. Ditto to everything that you said. And I'm excited to see what makes of Liz moving forward. Okay, Max.
Max. Okay. I'm heartbroken. Unfortunately, it's not heartbroken that Max left. It's heartbroken for Max because I just think he did not see this coming at all. And his goodbye was like actually heartbreaking. I was like, oh no. He was like, I just don't think it's my time. I think I have a lot more to show. I've wanted to play this game for so long and like prove that I could like do it and yada yada yada. And I'm like that, like I literally love that. I love like adore Max and so happy that he played the season. But at the same time, I was like, is there more to show in the chat with us? Because we haven't given that much this season yet. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, Max. I don't. I really don't. But we like lied that we were in the minority on the vote flip, which put you on the outs. Then you were nominated multiple times and only stayed because you won the veto multiple times, which made you a big threat. And then when you didn't win this week, I think you thought you were fine until people directly told you that you were going home, and it was a kind of a surprise after having an HOH that you didn't utilize last week to gain any allies because you didn't tell anyone what you were doing. But I love you. I love Max.
Yeah,
No ill will, but it's gonna be a 1. It's gonna be a 1
I mean, there's
though.
nothing else to do. Like,
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm so sorry, Max, but it's a 1. Or it's all right, it's the according to Tyler, you get the third digit of pi.
bumper one. But looking at this, like, what a great split house week. I mean, two people were out who got one, so two people were out who are probably just gonna go home in two separate weeks. So
That's the other thing. Like literally, him getting to the jury and Brogan being like, "Looks like you shouldn't have taken me out last week," and Max was like, "No, I actually think it was a good move. Like honestly, if it wasn't for the split house thing, like I would have been totally fine." And I was like, "Max, no, you were the target for everyone. This like no, no,
Dan-
no."
Danny and Max's line being the same for so many weeks in a row.
I
3 weeks.
mean, well, yes. Unfortunately. And like again, it makes me so sad because Max so clearly wanted to be here, but King, there was nowhere else for you to go. There was not.
All right,
So
Mike.
sorry.
Oh, Michael.
Michael. Michael. I feel like I've started Michael's ranking for the last like 4 weeks, like laughing or like things. And unfortunately, that's how I feel like everyone in the house feels about Michael because Michael is constantly being perceived as paranoid and wishy-washy. And that's because Michael is paranoid and wishy-washy.
Oh,
this week, the things that Michael did well were his like strategic mindset. And actually, I will give credit where credit is due. Michael has, especially for these last few weeks, had a pretty good pulse on what's happening in the game. Like like it's clear to see that there's a trio of Julia, Liz, and Tyler, even though not everyone has like completely like caught onto it. They think like they're kind of in it. Michael sees it, he's clocked it, and he wants to do something about it. Great. Kudos. Love it. It's the social aspect that gets Michael because his way of like going about doing something about it, I think is just like people are like, no, no, I don't want to. Um, Kaylin was like ready to like murder him this week, and that was silly. And Kaylin was smart and didn't put him up, which I agree was the best move. Um, but yeah, I think the power structure being the trio that we've been talking about has clocked that Michael is their next target. Um, for many reasons, because Michael is the one that's most on the outs with them and is the one that is trying to do the most to like form something else. And unfortunately, it's not working. And we know a little bit of what's to happen next week, and I locked in my scores before, but I think if pretty much anyone won HOH, because Caitlyn couldn't win this week,
It would have been so bad. Either way, no matter what.
there was no winning outcome for Michael. I think he's on the block literally no matter what this week. Um, so I'm gonna lower my score to a 3 for Michael, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I have to go down to a three. I mean, I almost feel inclined to go down to a two, but I'll stay at a three.
The only reason I'm not down to a 2 is because I feel like his reads are good and they're not delusional. If he was delusional and in a bad spot, it would have been a 2, but he's not
How
delusional.
how
He's just
how
bad.
good how useful are your good reads when you're 98%
Ex-
of going home? So, but I'll say a three. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's like you said. No matter who was going to win HOH this upcoming week, he was most likely going to touch the block. It comes down to the veto, if he can pull it off. But if not, he's probably going to be a final nominee, and he's probably going to go home. So,
And
three.
knowing that the upcoming veto is Otev, I don't hate his chances, depending on who's playing,
I
but
think the other people have better chances over him.
exactly, I think other people have better chances is the thing.
So,
So we'll see.
Sarah,
Oh, Queen's so back.
Queen's so bad.
Queen is so back. There was a moment there that it got a little scary for Miss Sarah Kraut, but she's so back. She's so back. I want Sarah to win. I want Sarah to win. And that's my thesis statement on the matter. 10. No, we're not quite there. We're not quite
Not
there.
great self though.
Um, but she's doing very well. Like she's doing the Sarah thing that got her so far and well ingratiated in the beginning of this game, and that's just talking one-on-one well with people. In this last week, her conversations alone with Tyler, fantastic. Her conversations alone with Julia, fantastic. Her conversations alone with Liz, fantastic. And newsflash, those are the three power players. And newsflash, if they do start combusting, they're going to start using Sarah as their new number. And I think all of them want to use Sarah. Before, I was a little worried that like Julia wouldn't want to, or like Liz wouldn't want to because they had other numbers. I think Sarah is honestly all of their next best option. Um, so Queen stays doing queen shit. Um, well, yes. Well, yes. I was at a 5 last week. I will be raising my score to a 6 because realistically, right now, She is still the fourth there, but from me at least, she's the only other player outside of the main trio that will be getting a green score, and deservedly so. So it's a 6 from me.
I was at the 6 last week. I'm gonna go up to a 7. Um, I've said this. I think my gut tells me that Tyler and Liz are gonna be switching in Sarah for Liz very soon, soonish. But Sarah will be the one being swapped in. So as they're in that transitory state, I feel like for me it's only fair that they both get the same score. And I think Sarah has a chance to make a deep run in this game. I think Final Four, Final Three, as long as she can hang in there for the ride, she has a very good chance of making it there.
And listen, she's like a competent human being. I know that sounds like stupid, but like just being a competent human being, both on like an emotional level in the game, but also in competitions. If she studies up on her notes, which it looks like she's starting to do, she was texting her diary room like, "Can you guys tell me what happened in week 3?" And like, no, we can't. But like, you have that info, and I'm looking for it. I love that you're looking for it, and I hope you find it, girl. Um, but the fact that she's starting to gather this means, truthfully, that I don't hate her chances in something like the web if she is to make it there. I don't hate her chances in a part 3
I
or a
think
part
she has
2.
more trouble figuring out the logistic, not the logistical, the technological side of the web than it
Do
is
you
the
do you think? I think Google Slides. Oh no. Okay. Maybe
so
I'm.
bad.
Oh
I have
no.
zero faith with her and technology.
Oh no. I
But
was being like, no, Google Slides. She's an ace. She's a master.
um,
Okay. So maybe I spoke a little too soon.
not that she like is bad with it, but I don't. She's not gonna have the. She doesn't use it really. So as far as my knowledge, like she's not gonna have the ability to be like, okay, cut here, paste here. Like, but at the end of the day, like who is besides us, you know? Like who
But
is
she's gonna
mastering
be
people's like,
competent.
I think we're gonna see.
And
I,
I
I
mean, like, listen, if she's in the final 6, which I'm gonna assume she is,
yeah, there's
let
got to
me
be
go.
no BB Comics like is coming up.
BB Comics and
That can be her
Mobile
test.
Puzzle are back to back, and we will see.
Yeah, that can be her test.
So, well, yeah, 6.5 for Sarah.
Tyler,
I hope she's there on the finale. I hope she's there in the final 2 because deserved, because Queen, because Icon work.
right? Okay, Tyler, last one.
Tyler, last one. Um, yeah, I mean, we've been saying it for a while. He's gonna be one to watch out for. Um, what's interesting to me is like I don't know what it is that makes me feel so good about Tyler because it's not his social connections to everyone else. It truthfully isn't. Liz and Julia are doing a better job at that. You know what I mean? I think it is Tyler's experience and also the fact that despite him not talking maybe a ton to people outside of his group, I think he knows what to say when. And I think when people do talk to Tyler, they feel good about Tyler. Um, and like that I think is key. Um, I think that I think the most locked player for a final 2. Because I think no matter who he goes to the end with, whether it be Julia, whether it be Liz, whether it be Sarah, um, truthfully throw Andy into that mix, I think all 4 of those people bring Tyler to the final 2. Um, Julia is concretely not turning on Tyler. Um, and that I'm very confident in. Liz, I am pretty concretely confident in saying that she's not turning on Tyler. Um, Sarah doesn't really have anywhere else to go right now. Um, yeah, I just think the his final 2s are what's key here for him. I think his end game prospects are the highest out of everyone's, and it's for that reason that I will be raising my score to an 8 to match Liz and Julia's. And just like Liz, he is someone that I think, depending on what happens in this next week, could definitely reach the 9 threshold. Um, he's the person that I'm most confident will be sitting in the end game because, let alone if someone puts him on the block, with what votes are you going to take this guy out? No one plans on turning on him. In all honesty, I could be convinced to go up to a 9 now. I'm not because it's still a little early and we have to see. But yeah, yep, he's killing it. 8.
Yeah, I'm gonna matching Liz. I'm gonna be going up to an 8 as well. Um, right now, it's tricky because at this point of the game, I'm usually like, okay, there's usually one or two big, loud, out in front people who look like if there was a jury vote right now, they would win, but it's just too far away for them to make it there. Tyler before was that person in second behind those loud people, but now I feel like everyone is so even on threat level now. Everyone is so like the three or four of them are so even that it's like there isn't one person now that's like out in front, big target, is loud, everybody knows it. So I think that makes Tyler's chances a little better. Um, but we'll see. I'm very excited to see what Tyler does. Again, we know that, I mean, spoiler, we know Tyler's HOH going into this week. So it's this, for any of the, they're calling themselves the split one now. Any of the split one, Julia, Liz, Tyler, Sarah, if any of them were to win, I think the nominations would have pretty much been the same. I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward week.
We're gonna see Caitlin and Michael on the block, and one of them is gonna go home this week. Like, let's be so for real.
I think I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward week. So Tyler doesn't have a huge amount of power this week in that he's going to make a move, but he's advancing to the final seven. So big stuff, and 8 from me.
I think getting Michael out, or truthfully Caitlin, both of them want Tyler out, and they're the only people left in the game that I think explicitly want Tyler out. So
Oh, that's
call it not making a big flashy move, but it's going to benefit him wonders. Um, in addition, one thing that you said triggered something that I wanted to say, where Tyler is currently the person where it's like people could make a move on Julia. Sarah could end up falling on the bottom something and like end up being accidentally need to be cut somewhere. Liz might not have the social connections compared to someone and like might get cut along the way. Like, sure, all of those possibilities exist. Tyler is the person that I'm most confident that like won't have the votes to go ever. You're not going to get enough people on board to vote him out.
mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people, if anyone wants to nominate him, I think a lot of people want to bring him to the final two. That's all great for him. One thing that's interesting though about what you said about like people being out in front and whatnot, I'm very, very, very curious about Tyler's chances in a jury vote. It's a little early to be directly talking about it now, but the jury is a third full, and we know like the group of people here are going to be the other people there. And if Tyler is sitting next to Julia, Liz, or Sarah, I honestly like all three of their chances in a final two with this jury more than I like Tyler's chances of winning a jury vote. That is actually, I think, going to be his biggest struggle. Because I think all three of them, I think Julia, Liz, and Sarah are all going to be able to put up a good case. It'll be one thing if I was like, no, Tyler's going to be able to run circles around them in a speech. I don't think that's the case. I don't think his game is that much better than theirs. And I think this jury is going to be shaping up to want, again, to want to crown someone that they like and they have worked with and like whatnot. And at least as of right now, of the people on the jury, I don't think Tyler is that person.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But the majority of the jury is going to be made up of people who have yet to be evicted. So
I mean, exactly. So we'll see. That's what I think his biggest chink in his armor is right now, though, which at the final 8 is not a bad place to be. You
Hmm.
have time to get jury votes.
Exactly. So, still got a lot of game left. Let's see here. Tyler and Julia, or Tyler and Liz, are at the top of the rankings this week with an 8. Of course, Danny and Max going home. Ones for each of them. Got Julia still pretty high up with a 7.5. Sarah not far behind with 6.5. Ava and Andy kind of hanging out in the middle, and Caitlin and Michael towards
Oh.
the bottom.
I like I honestly, sincerely, I want you to be right about Ava.
I think
I
so.
want you to be right
Honestly, I
because
would
Ava's
love to see Ava
one of my favorites.
dark horse going towards the end.
I love Ava so much. I really want that for her. I just see seventh place coming her way.
I
It
just
also could be Andy in seventh.
I just think this game moves so fast. Where if they're gonna take a shot at Julia, I think they'll pull in. Ava's gonna be the one to be spared, and then after that, who knows what happens. But the game changes, especially this one. People talk all day. Like this game changes so fast. So we'll see. But yeah, all right. See everyone. Like
Yeah,
is
2 days.
seconds. Gosh, more rankings are coming. Okay.